favorite day of the week. It is Third Party Thursday. And this is a special one, all right, because usually we look ahead, right, and we say, oh, we're going to bring in somebody from the enemy camp. But this time, we looking back to the blockbuster trade of the century. Davante Adams, where'd he come from? Where'd he go? I think you know that part. All right, let's bring in somebody from Raiders Nation. Let's break down the trade. Let's break down what's going on right here, right now. Boy Green meets Wudi.
Wudi, can you guys help us get a jet chant here? Yeah, going.
Oh.
Okay. Come on in. Let's go. Okay.
Third Party Thursday.
Chris joining us here on the program with a capital P here on the program.
Wow, what an intro. I mean, Boy Green is known for having the intro, but Wudi, that was unreal, man. Thanks for the kind words.
We are men of many names.
My favorite Austrian Jets fan right there, baby.
Boy Green
Meets Wudi. Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. It is your boy, James Wudi. You know we Wudi, rocking everywhere. And now we got the boy who became king, Mr. Paul Esden Jr. himself. But that's not it, right? I'm just going to take a quick aside to say, Boy Green, I did love your moves in the cold.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I did enjoy that.
I got them from my mama.
Well, you know what? We got somebody else here. Like we said, it's Third Party Thursday, so we bringing it big. All right, we talking about Raiders Nation. Allow me to introduce to you somebody who has too many accolades to name, but I'm going to name a few anyway. All right, we talking about an NFL analyst for Bleacher Report. I'm going to say that again. Bleacher Report. Ever heard of him? Huh? TNT Sports. Okay, we're talking about true TV's own NFL analyst representing Raiders Nation right here, right now, and I guess every day for the rest of his life. Moton, come on down. How you doing?
Wudi, I must say, you may be taking Paul's crown for best intros. Paul, no disrespect, but I mean that intro, that rolling out of the carpet, I got to give it to Wudi on that one. He did his thing.
Yeah, he's doing it. There's no question about it. And Mo, it's great to have you on the show. You're one of the best in the business. We've gotten to know each other quite intimately, for better or for worse, depending on your perspective. For whether you're me or you or the fans, or I'm not sure how well I'm received. I'm going to be honest on a day-to-day basis, but I try to always see the glass half full. That's for certain. And Mo, this is not your first time on a show that we're on together. I don't know if it's the second time, maybe not even the third time, maybe not even the fourth time. But Mo, you have joined me on a lot of shows, and I've appreciated your time over the last 2 years. And this is a historic moment, an absolutely historic moment, because earlier this week, the New York Jets traded for Davante Adams. And Mo, I don't like putting words in people's mouth or anything of that nature, but there was a certain individual that's represented on the show that told me quite emphatically that was never going to happen. And actually, our crack staff has put a video package together here. Let's roll the footage.
No way, Jose. No way, Paul. No way, whoever is asking. Davante Adams is staying in Las Vegas. I know a lot of people say, hey, remember we were on the show together? And you say, what are the chances that Davante goes to
You did.
New York?
Yeah, I remember your answer for that. Yeah.
I said, Paul, not happening.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it again. Paul, whoever, not happening. No, arguably the top wide receiver in the game. No disrespect to Justin Jefferson. So I don't see Davante Adams being moved. Some Jets fans are not letting it go. They're reading the press clippings from Davante Adams. No way, Jose. No way, Paul. No way, whoever is asking. Not happening. Not happening. Not happening. Not happening.
Reunited and it feels so good. Reunited 'cause we understood. There's one perfect fit.
Wow. Wow. They say the tape doesn't lie, Moton.
So I have two comments here. First of all, whoever put together the highlight package, fire them. Fire them right now.
Oh, God.
Number,
Wow.
number two, if
Sure.
I knew Davante Adams was a liar, I would have never made those.
Well,
The
boy.
man is a liar. The
Mm.
man got up in the front of the microphone as recently as September the 4th. I remember the date. September
Wow.
4th, he gets up to the microphone and says, Deshaun Jackson, former NFL player and wide receiver Deshaun Jackson, also former Raider,
Yes.
says Deshaun Jackson hasn't spoke to him, don't believe in the trade chatter, don't believe that he is unhappy in Las Vegas. It's all BS. It's all trade chatter, hoopla. He's here for the Raiders. This is what he said on September 4th. 4 weeks later, has a change of heart. So, congrats, Jets fans. You get Davante Adams. Just be careful about the words that you take from him. Be careful about taking it with a grain of salt or taking it at face value. He may say one thing publicly, but he may feel a whole different way behind closed doors. Just keep that in mind.
So, Mo, I'll start off with that question right off the top. Do you believe that Davante Adams has just been a stone cold liar this entire time? And every time, because like basically every show he's been on for like the last year and a half, hey, Aaron Rodgers, hey, Aaron, and he give some nice, sweet poetry about, yeah, I love Aaron Rodgers. Why wouldn't I love it? But then, like, I'm a Raider, baby. Family, this, that, the other. So, like, and the back of his mind's going, can't wait to get out of here. Or is it some late shift, to your point, that it was this changing of mind that seemingly happened where it's like, no, I want out of here. What's the truth in your mind, Mo, as someone who got to cover Davante Adams for a handful of years there in Vegas?
I'm from Brooklyn, Paul Wudi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. And there's a popular saying in Brooklyn, New York from a guy named Jay-Z. You've probably heard of him.
Yeah.
Said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
Davante, as you would categorize him, man, right? Probably identifies himself as a man. So
yeah, I haven't checked the hardware, but I'll take your word for it. Sure.
Yeah, I want to lean toward the liar side, but in all seriousness, this is my theory, and I have a lot of rare theories that circulate through social media.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders got shellacked at home by the Carolina Panthers, who started Andy Dalton. They benched Bryce Young, lost pretty badly, weren't even competitive in that game. After that game, Antonio Pierce gets up to the podium and says some guys made business decisions. Basically said they weren't all in, weren't giving it their all on the field, and that's why you saw what you saw on the field against the Panthers. And it seems as though after he said that, now there was a meeting too, and Zamir White, the Raiders running back, said the meeting, certain things got personal. This is not my words. Zamir White said.
Okay.
This.
Wow. All right.
Aired players and coaches aired everything out, and things got personal. And it was from that point on, we didn't see Davante Adams play another snap for the Raiders. Then that following week, that week where they had the meeting, he pops up on the injury report with a hamstring injury. Right? Hamstring injury.
Some quotes there.
By the way, he's ready to play for the Jets against the Steelers. I'm just saying. He hamstring injury though.
So which, by the way, Mo, he gave a shout out. So the first we hear of Davante Adams during the week is Aaron Rodgers doing his normal weekly with Pat McAfee, and he looks off camera, and everyone goes, "Whoa, what's going on?" Davante kind of strolls on camera, and he speaks for 2.5 minutes, and Pat McAfee peppers him with as many questions as possible. One of them is, how's that hamstring, Davante? And Davante gives a shout out to the Raiders people. The medical staff are getting him right, and he said, "Fortunately, I'm ready to roll." And Adam Schefter later confirmed that he's going to play. So a shout out to the Raiders people for quote unquote getting him right. Thanks, Mo.
Yeah, waving that magic trade wand. Sure, I'm sure it healed his hamstring up pretty well. But like he team meeting happened. AP calls out the players. Team meeting happens. He has a hamstring injury. And then he ends up on the Kay Adams show, goes on Kay Adams show, his normal spot, and she straight out asks him, like, what is your future with the Raiders? And he basically says, well, I can only control what I can control, and that's this interview right now. And it was a complete 180 from how he sounded just a week before that. So my theory is something happened in that team meeting. During that team meeting, either someone said something to him, may have called him out, or he heard something that he didn't like that changed his heart. And also, Josina Anderson today had a post, an interesting post on Twitter. She said that Antonio Pierce is also ready to move on because, to a certain degree, the trust was basically broken between Davante Adams and he and the team. So something happened behind closed doors between that Panthers loss and this trade that expedited things. And don't forget, Antonio Pierce liking that post about Davante Adams has already played his last snap with the Raiders. So there's also that part of this equation too.
Yeah, he gave a discount double check to that comment. Click, click. That's what happened there. That's for sure. Go ahead, Woody.
Yeah, can you explain? Because I know I'm pretty much on the outside looking in, and that's like the thing about the NFL is that, you know, for other teams that, you know, are so, you know, the degrees of separation, you only go off the headlines that ESPN right says. So I'm thinking,
I read Bleacher Report personally, not ESPN. I'm a Bleacher Report guy, but, you know, different strokes.
No, me too. Me too. I'm talking about the you know, some random show that I probably don't even respect, honestly.
Not at all.
James Wudi, Bleacher Report, definitely for sure. You know, Davante, was it about the Raiders or was it about playing with his boy Derek Carr? You know, that's why he joined. He wanted to play with his boy, somebody who he put on the same level as Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to talk about that. But then the Raiders said, you know what? We don't care about Carr. And shipped up his boy. Now he's out here trying to pretend like he's boys with Gardner Minshew, trying to pretend like Hayden O'Connell isn't, you know, some dude that sounds like somebody who's, you know, my son's team classmate in his little toddler school. I mean, I don't know if Davante was truly happy there, but now an opportunity opens up to play with his original boy, Aaron Rodgers, and boom, there he is. Can you like educate? Is that, am I misreading that generalization of his time as a Raider?
I don't think you're misreading that, Woody. I think, okay, he came out and said he came there to play with Derek Carr, and we all knew that. They were teammates at Fresno State, collegiate teammates. We understood all of that. And once the Raiders moved on from Derek Carr, a lot of Raider fans said eventually Davante Adams is going to ask out. But when he was asked multiple times publicly, he said, well, I came here to play with Derek Carr, but I want to ride this out to see how things pan out with the Raiders. So just in my opinion, I feel like if the Raiders had a better QB plan than what they had, remember after Derek Carr, it was Jimmy Garoppolo. And then it was Aiden O'Connell, and then Gardner Minshew. So had the Raiders addressed the QB position a lot better than they did post Derek Carr, I think he'd still be a Raider today. He'd still be happy getting the football and then winning games. But because they decided to go the bridge gap route with Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh McDaniels, and Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, being honest, these are bottom tier quarterbacks, borderline starters, high-end backups at best at this point in their careers. So if you're looking at the quarterback carousel in Las Vegas, if they wanted to salvage that relationship with Davante Adams, the number one thing they should have done was been more serious about addressing the position and getting a quality starter. And then you'd win more games. But because they were losing games, Josh McDaniels, the previous head coach, had lost the locker room last year. Antonio Pierce saved it. You remember the Raiders smoking cigars after victories. He uplifted that locker room, but they still had an existing problem with the quarterback position. And he decided to go into the year with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. That's not going to cut it for a wide receiver who's going to be 32 years old and is looking at his career and saying, do I want to sit here and rot with a borderline starter / backup, or do I want to compete for a playoff spot and have a chance to win a Super Bowl? And that's what it boils down to.
Again, we're speaking with Mo Moton, Bleacher Report columnist, M&M. I love some M&Ms, and we got some Mo Moton here on the program. And be honest with you, give us the Raiders' perspective here. So the Raiders get a conditional third that can become a second if one of either of these two things happens. Either Davante Adams is an all-pro, either first or second team, or he is on a roster, an active roster participant for an AFC Championship or Super Bowl.
So it's a third rounder.
Shut up. For the New York Jets. So I'm curious, Mo, and of course, the most important piece of the puzzle that it seemed like very, very important to the Raiders for something Mark Davis had previously never done is the Jets ate the entire contract for the 2024 season, and they've since made alterations on their own. That's a non-Raiders related issue with future void years to spread the cap and figure things out for now. But they ate it all and then figured it out on their own. So I'm curious, you guys get that return. Is that underwhelming? Is that, whoa, okay, not too shabby? Where does that sit among Raiders Nation?
It's underwhelming if you had unrealistic expectations. So when these trades go down, you have to understand, not you guys, but a lot of fans have to understand that age plays into it. The player's existing contract plays into it. As you pointed out, Paul, the Jets ate the entire contract. Mark Davis did not want to pay any money on it. He wanted a second round pick, and he didn't want to pay any more money on Davante Adams' contract. So he had very strict guidelines of what he wanted. Now the Jets gave him a conditional, which could be a second. We'll see what happens there. But for me, this is what I expected. I had to kind of talk fans out of expecting a first round pick because a lot of people say, well, Davante Adams is great. Why can't they get a first round pick? And I had to say, like, look, they traded a first and a second rounder for him a few years ago. But as time goes on, you know how value drops over time. Then he pops up with his hamstring injury. He's not coming off of his best year. And then, as I said, the contract situation, a team having to eat his entire contract, all of that factors into the trade. And if a team says, well, we got to meet all of those demands, we're not giving you a first-round pick. We're not even going to give you a straight-up second-round pick. Certain parameters have to be met for even us to upgrade that to a second-rounder. So, for me, this isn't a surprise. I feel like a second-round pick was the best-case scenario. So there are a certain portion of Raider fans rooting for Gangrene and you guys out there to do your thing, get Davante Adams the ball so that becomes a second-round pick so the Raiders can continue to address their needs. They have to get a quarterback, preferably in the first round, but they also need a wide receiver now to replace Davante. They need a running back. They may need a cornerback. So any help from draft picks is good help. Though a lot of fans are disappointed because of unrealistic expectations, this was the expectation all along. I believe Adam Schefter leaked the Jets trade assets at one point, and it was 2 third-rounders, and Mike Williams was on that list. Yeah. So to give up to get a potentially a second-round pick, a third-rounder condition that could be a second, to me is a win for the Raiders.
Quick follow-up, Mo, because I am ill-advised to answer. I saw the conditions, and the AFC Championship game at Super Bowl is your own. Okay, you need the right things to happen for that to happen. The one that and again, either of those things happens, or Davante Adams is a first-team All-Pro or a second-team All-Pro, the Raiders will also get a second. And like I'm just admitting here, I'm ill-advised to answer the question because I have no idea. Obviously, Davante has missed a bunch of games with a hamstring. He's got an 11-game rental when you consider the Pittsburgh game and the Jets bye week that'll be coming up. Is it realistic that Davante, and if you can answer this, that he could be an All-Pro in either of those categories, whatever he does with Aaron Rodgers, with an 11-game sample size and what he's done so far this season, or is that unrealistic? There's too many other really good receivers in the league. So that, the optionality is there. If he does it, it will benefit you guys. But is it realistic that he could achieve either of those barometers in your mind?
I wouldn't say it's unrealistic, but it's going to be a steep climb because, as you said, he had a depleted production rate with the Raiders with Gardner Minshew. He didn't get to play with Aiden O'Connell because that move was made 2 weeks ago. But if you're looking at the AFC landscape, right, Nico Collins is out right now. Nico Collins was leading the league before he got hurt. So there's that opening that who knows how long Nico Collins is going to be out. Mm-hmm. But what if Amari, I know this is going to be like nails on a chalkboard, but what if Amari Cooper goes off in Buffalo? What if he has a big year with the Buffalo Bills? He doesn't have as much competition for targets as Davante's going to have in New York. We all know Alan Lazard and Rodgers have a connection from Green Bay. Let's not forget about Garrett Wilson, right? So
true.
Davante Adams is going to have competition for those targets. And when Albrecht was hired as an interim, there was a lot of buzz at the rate that the Jets, are going to commit to the run game and get Breece Hall going. So how much of that is going to factor into how much Aaron Rodgers throws the ball? Because usually you don't, as great as a quarterback can be, you don't want a quarterback throwing 45, 50 times a game. And you have only but so many targets to go around with Adams, Lazard, Garrett Wilson. So it's going to be a steep climb considering where his numbers are now. Now, if his numbers were a lot higher, if he was a lot more productive with the Raiders, I would say, yeah, sure. But he's going to have to make up a lot of ground here if he's going to be a first and second team All-Pro.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a third rounder. I'm a betting man. Bet the house. Bet the house on the third round. Now, let me ask you, though, because with the Bills, right, they got rid of Stephon Diggs. And, addition by subtraction is a phrase that, they were saying when I asked Sal Capaccio of the, from the Bills, he was like, I wouldn't say that, but, they got rid of, a me type player. And now Josh can spread the ball around. With Davante, are we talking about the exact same situation, or is this some sort of fire sale? Are the Raiders rebuilding? Because I keep hearing Max Crosby. That's what I keep hearing, right? And now Aiden Hutchinson went down, and I've heard Reddick to the Lions. I heard Crosby to the Lions. I feel there's almost some sort of three-way dance going on. And if anybody could use Crosby, it'd be one Jets drive over here.
Here we go.
Yeah. So just talk to me. Is this a fire sale, or is this just one thing? One guy who's just me, and you just sent him away?
I think there will be more trades coming for the Raiders. I just don't think Max Crosby will be one of them. Mark Davis has already come out and said he's not trading Max Crosby. We all know that every player has a price, right? So you're offering multiple ones, then there's always a chance. I mean, I've covered the Raiders. I've witnessed the Raiders trading away Khalil Mack before the 2018 season started. I witnessed them trading Amari Cooper at the peak of his prime. I've seen all of this happen. So nothing surprises me. So I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth again and say it's not going to happen. Never. I'm not going there again, Paul and Will James. Not doing that again. But I will say that the Raiders value Max Crosby, obviously, and what he brings to the table, not just on the field, but as a leader in the locker room. And if you're giving up Max Crosby, you're giving up the heart of that Raiders team or what's left of it. But other players, I can see other players, Jacoby Myers, you're not interested, but Jacoby Myers and other starters, Jack Jones, guys of that nature being moved. But I don't want to say Max Crosby is non-negotiable because, and I've seen big trades happen with the Raiders, but they're going to hold on to him unless you're offering multiple first rounders.
Two things here. First off, I heard Davante Adams likes interim head coaches, at least at the beginning part. So that's kind of encouraging for Jeff Obrick. Hopefully that can persist. But seriously, on the interim head coach thing, it almost feels like, and feel free to slap me wrong with some of this verbiage here, but it almost feels like Mark Davis got bullied into hiring Antonio Pierce. We heard the Max Crosby threats, the Davante Adams. If you don't hire this man, I ain't going to be here. And then fast forward a couple months, he ain't going to be here anyway. But that's here nor there. So they're like, yeah, Antonio Pierce, he's our guy. Look at how he kind of rallied this team, and they hire him. And now we've just kind of seen not what I think the Raiders were hoping for. And Davante's gone, and we'll see who else is potentially gone. And let me just ask you straight up, did the Raiders make a mistake? Was Mark Davis bullied into making that decision?
Look, I understood why they hired Antonio Pierce, even without the players speaking out for him, because of what he did for that team, turning that team around after they fired Josh McDaniels. He was much needed. What he brought to the table, his leadership and how he motivated those players was much needed in that locker room. What I didn't like was the hiring process. So the Raiders didn't hire a legitimate candidate, a head coaching candidate outside of Antonio Pierce. The guys that they interviewed weren't even coaching in that year. So they were interviewing guys who were on their couch for the 2023 season. So it was very clear where Mark Davis was leaning from the beginning. The second misstep is before they hired Antonio Pierce, they had Antonio Pierce sitting in on the GM interviews. Who does that? Before he was even hired, he was sitting in on the GM interviews. So we already knew what it was. We already knew the jig. He was going to get the job. It was predetermined. And it just came out that the players kind of tilted it in their favor with Max Crosby saying, I may not be here. Josh Jacobs speaking out, Davante Adams speaking out. And ironically, two of the three guys who were most vocal about hiring Antonio Pierce are no longer with the team. Josh Jacobs is in Green Bay. Davante Adams just gets shipped out to the Jets. Max Crosby's the only guy left there. So I wouldn't say it was a mistake, but this is why you don't allow players to pick their coaches, because players come and go. Coaches come and go too, but players can be traded within a year. You're hoping that coach is going to stick around for 5-10 years. Players, they're up for a new contract. They want a new deal. All of a sudden, they're holding out. They're gone. They're out the door. Do not let players have say-so or have you lean in a certain direction when they could be out of the door and on another team in the following season.
I mean, that's a fact. Fun fact, another fun fact is Adam Gates, New York Jets head coach. He chose Joe Douglas, right? That was his suggestion, was Joe Douglas. We'll see if he survives this year. Maybe not. But just a fun fact of coaches picking GMs. I got one more.
Okay.
And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Minshew Mania. I've actually argued on this show with Boy Green that he is a good QB. You know that some takes age like wine. You know, Alan Lazard. You know, is out here. This Minshew take, you know, might be curdling a little bit, or it might be curdling.
Might be stale. Yeah.
Just talk to me. Aiden O'Connell, Minshew, are you just, do you even care about those guys at all? Are you looking at, you know, Shadur Sanders? Are you looking at, you know, the QBs in college, or is there any sort of salvageable talent at that position on that roster?
I've already looked through the draft prospects. I'm already looking at film. I'm already doing mock drafts with multiple quarterbacks in my mock drafts. It's just super clear that neither of these guys are the long-term answer. I think Raider fans knew that coming into the year, that Minshew was brought in to be a stopgap guy to keep the ship steady. And Aiden O'Connell was just a developmental backup. Aiden O'Connell's not even mobile. And in today's league, you got to have a quarterback who can move a little bit. He doesn't have to be Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, but just be able to have some wiggle. Like we saw Paul do a little jig at the beginning. He needs some rhythm, you know? And Aiden O'Connell doesn't have that, you know? So it was clear he wasn't going to be the guy. But with Gardner Minshew, I think he could be a serviceable starter, but he needs a top play caller. So we saw how he played with the Colts last year. Almost got the Colts to the playoffs, played pretty well, was a Pro Bowler, even though the stats are modest, but played his best ball with the Colts. And a lot of it's because of Shane Steichen being there. Remember, Shane Steichen got the Eagles to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts hasn't looked as good since Shane Steichen left Philly for Indianapolis. I don't know what's going on with Anthony Richardson. That's a whole other topic for a whole other day. But with most quarterbacks, they need top-tier play calls to bring the best out of them. And Minshew is paired with Luke Getsy, who's the Raiders offensive coordinator. And Luke Getsy is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the offensive coordinators. The man called for a run play on 1st and 20 and called for another run play on 2nd and 18. What are we doing? Down multiple scores. You're running the ball on 1st and 50. I mean.
Hey, Mo, zig when others are zagging, baby. Yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Well, let me ask you, Mo. Let me ask you. Let's try to get away from your Raiders, for God's sakes, for the love of everything that's holy. We'll end here. Now, I know what you'll be rooting for. You cover the Raiders. The Raiders cap is on. The Davante Adams credentials for what you guys need to happen to get that second-round pick. Shoot, you may be hosting a daily Jet show, for God's sakes. You may be taking my job and rooting for this gosh darn team. But also, on top of your Raiders love, you are, as Wudi beautifully and eloquently articulated, you're an NFL analyst all over the gosh darn place. So I'm curious your take. This Jets team is 2-4. It's so funny how the game is a game of inches. Davante Adams flew in the night before. That trade was going to happen, whether the Jets lost or won against the Buffalo Bills. So there is a world, if you cock your head sideways, oh, the Jets are in first place, 3-3. They just added this star receiver. Oh, watch out, world. Here come the Jets. They go to 2-4. Now it reeks of desperation to people on the outside that just see it like, oh, boy, look at this Jets team. They're 2-4, 2.5 games back of the Buffalo Bills and just losing a home game to Buffalo. But I'm curious, it's a long season, obviously. We're not even halfway through it yet. What is your take on the New York Jets and, quite frankly, the state of the AFC and where this Jets team could potentially go with the official acquisition of Davante Adams. Do you believe in? I know you want to believe in this team for, again, all the Raiders points that we already made, but do you actually believe in this team to make some sort of a run with Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, and company?
And be honest, you don't have to
Yeah,
sugarcoat
right.
it.
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
take it.
No, Paul knows I'm going to be honest here. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah, that's
moving
for
off of my. I'm not moving off my preseason prediction for the Jets, and that was 10-7. Paul, if you remember, I was on here with you months ago. I said 10-7, and a bunch of Jet fans. You welcomed a bunch of Jet fans to get on here and laugh at me and say I'm an idiot because they're going to win 12, 13 games. You remember that, right, Paul?
I
So
do.
10-7,
I do.
and they said, "No, Mo, 12-5, 13-4."
Yes.
And I said, you remember Aaron Rodgers as a full-time starter in Green Bay last year? 9-8. And he had Davante Adams back then. 9-8 and missed the playoffs. Lost to the Detroit Lions in a win, get in playoff game. Basically.
Correct. Yes.
So I'm not moving off of 10-7. Davante Adams is going to make their passing offense a lot better. But where I worry about the Jets and why I'm not moving off of 10-7 and not jumping off the hills and saying, oh, they're going to win every game here from here on out, I'm worried about the Jets in the trenches. So when I made that prediction, right, I was assuming that they would resolve things with Hassan Reddick and he was going to be there. Jermaine Johnson was healthy, right? Their offensive line, I thought, would be a lot better than it was. I don't know what's going on with Tyron Smith, but worried about that. So Davante Adams is going to be great on the perimeter, but is Aaron Rodgers going to have enough protection to get the ball downfield? Are the Jets going to have enough pass rush to pressure some of the top quarterbacks in this league? Hassan Reddick, I read reports that they've granted Hassan Reddick permission to seek a trade. After Joe Douglas came out and said, we're not trading him. So where's the pass rush coming from? Is the protection going to hold up? Those are my questions about the Jets, though I still think they have enough talent to get to the playoffs. Good teams are usually good at the line of scrimmage. And I don't know if the Jets are good enough at the line of scrimmage right now to go on a big run, but I still think they're good enough to make the postseason.
100% legitimate questions. I think that is, Wudi, go ahead. I think that's where we would all concur, that it is the line of scrimmage. It is trench warfare. And on both sides of the ball, the Jets have some questions. It's cool to see Will McDonald second in the league in sacks, and he's only behind, unfortunately, the body of Aiden Hutchinson because he's not playing for the rest of the year. So Will McDonald has been awesome, but that's one man. And, boy, there's not enough meat on the rest of that bone. Go ahead, Wudi.
No, I was just going to wholeheartedly agree that good teams are good in the trenches. That's something that Joe Douglas said when he was hired, that initial opening, press conference, and he has produced a good offensive line 0 years out of the 5 or 6 years that he's been here. So it's just tough to watch. 10-7, not moving off it. I think you're being generous, so I just wanted to say thank you for that, because that would mean that we would be 8-3 for the rest of the season. I don't see that happening. 3-8 looks more likely.
Well, if you don't see that happen, I can lend you my glasses, Woody, if you need them. You said he can't see it. Do you need the? Here you go. I could just kind of pop those on for you. You're seeing a little bit.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
What? Believe it or not, I think I do see clear. 5 and 6. All right, 5 and 6. All right.
Man,
all right. 7-10, just like last year. Great.
Okay,
Great job.
that's all right. Just you didn't wipe off the glasses first, so it was part of the problem. You missed a win in the column of the carry the one. That's fine. I just got to say, Mo, it's been awesome, and thankfully for our conversations, we haven't only had to bring you on for like Jets-Raiders games and things of that nature. Have been a lot of fun, but obviously with your NFL roles all over the place, it's been awesome to get you on the show. So great for you to pop the cherry here for Board Green Meets Wudi. Great to have you over here on this channel as well, man. It's always great chatting every year and multiple times a year, man.
Hey, I like this third-party Thursday thing y'all got going here, man. Don't send me an invite now and then. I know I'm not a Jets guy, but now that you got Davante Adams and there's some Raider fans rooting for y'all, maybe you can invite me back over in November, December, Thanksgiving meal, maybe. Christmas.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
I like
Absolutely.
that. Okay, way to invite yourself over to my Thanksgiving dinner. Thanks. I will keep that in the suggestion box. I will let that marinate. But you are always welcome, my friend. The Third Party Thursday invite is an open invitation, my friend. Anytime we could get you on the show, it's absolutely a good time. So we will hook you up with tickets so you can watch Davante Adams in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. Because I will.
Are you
like,
talking about your Madden simulation again?
like Willy Wonka style, when it's going to be like a presentation before the game when the Jets and AFC Championship game, and I'm going to be like, and here's your second round pick, bastard. Enjoy it. And then, it's Mr. third round pick because we're winning the Super Bowl. Ba-boom. And then I'll hand that right over to you. It'll be a great celebration. It'll be terrific.
I have not seen that mode in Madden. I got to talk to EA. I think my
That's
game
okay.
is broken because I
EA
haven't
Sports.
seen that.
EA Sports. Mo,
Yes.
that was awesome, man. We'll have to do this again soon.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Third Party
Absolutely.
Thursday.
Great meeting you. It's been a pleasure. I know you out here, rubbing shoulders with, big dogs at Bleacher Report, TNT Sports, True TV, to talk to little old James Wudi. Means a lot to your boy.
Shoulders? Isn't it elbows you're rubbing? Wow, shoulders.
Yo, is it shoulders? You know what?
I'm pretty
Shoulders,
sure it's
elbows,
elbows.
kneecaps.
I'm not gonna lie. I was just playing with my kids, and we were doing head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Well, you better play that again. You better
Shoulders.
you better play that
Subliminal.
again. Yeah, play that again. Play that game again. Actually, don't, for your children's sake. For God's sakes, that's
Yeah.
By the way, next time I'm on TNT Sports with my guy Coy White, who's a former Buffalo Bill, by the way, I'll tell him to be a little nicer to your Jets.
okay. Please do.
I'll
I
do you that
appreciate
favor.
that.
Do you that
All right,
favor.
there you go. Third Party Thursday, everybody. God bless. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.